pencil in, I guess, right?
Well,
or that was the foxhole one.
That was the foxhole one.
This Amateur Radio Roundtable is brought to you in part by ICOM America. Hi, I'm Tom Medlin, host of Amateur Radio Roundtable you're watching tonight. It's Tuesday, June the 18th, and we got a great show lined up for you tonight. We're going to be talking about kits and amplifiers and the RigPi and just a lot more things, you know. But hey, first, if you're out there, if you're new to the group, we'd love to hear from you. Tell us in the chat room that you are a new person. We'd like to welcome you. And if you're listening on international shortwave station WBCQ on 5130 kilohertz, we invite you to join us at w5kub.com. If you have internet and you can watch the show, it's a video show. You can watch the show and join in the chat room. So we really would like to know how you doing out there. Let's have some interaction with our viewers out there. Give us some comments in the chat room. And if you have not joined our Facebook group, please join our Facebook group. Just search for W5KUB. And our Facebook group of about 7,600 hams will come up. Please join it. It's a great place to see what's going on with the show, to post your ham shack pictures, to ask ham questions, and so forth. So we hope to see you in our Facebook group. And got a special guest tonight. My other brother, Tom, is here with us tonight. Tom, you want to come on in here and
yeah, okay.
Join
if
us?
you don't mind,
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, just pull up a chair right there and just scoot in here. We'll try to both get on camera. Well, hey, man, this is great. I've always wanted to be on TV where people around the world watch. All right, I had that queued up, but I didn't know how to get it off. Anyway, having a little fun here tonight. You know, we're gonna have double the fun tonight, guys. Believe me. That was just a first attempt at seeing if I could clone myself, and I did. Anyway, welcome to Amateur Radio Roundtable. We've got a lot going on tonight. We've got Howard on here to talk about RigPi. We've got Dave in here to help us co-host the show. Joe's going to talk about kits. We got Pat in here, K7LNP, to supposed to be talking about amplifiers. And then Bill Brown, our master of high altitude balloons, joined us tonight. He just got back from a big event, and we were going to try to squeeze him in, but Bill says, oh, I know what's wrong. Turn the echo off. Bill says that he's going to have to reload Skype, so he might not be able to make it tonight. So anyway, hey, if you're new to the group tonight, tell us in the chat room if you're new to our show. We talked to quite a few new people today on the 40-meter net. It turned out really well. We had about 25 check-ins tonight, and would love to hear from you. If you're listening on WBCQ on 5130, join us on w5kub.com. We'd love to have you there too. All right, we got the echo turned off. All right, so let's go around the table here a minute, just real quick, and see what is going on with everybody tonight. And let's first go to Dave over here. Hey, Dave, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing great. Having a lot of fun. I worked hard today to put a video together for tomorrow, so that's going to go up tonight with the release tomorrow. It's about the new Anytone AT-D878 UV Plus, which has Bluetooth in it.
Oh,
so I'm going to see what I can do with the Bluetooth feature on this thing. The radios are getting more sophisticated all the time. The next thing, it'll have a dog tender on it, and with an accessory, we'll do the dinner dishes.
Oh, man.
So that's what I've been up to.
Well, that's interesting. Hey, that reminds me of a commercial. The little girl says, "My mom always washes the dishes before she puts them in the dishwasher." So what does the dishwasher do? I don't know if you've seen that commercial or not, but it's cute, man. Well, hey, you have to tell us.
I knew somebody like that.
Yeah, you have to tell us more about it a little later there. Okay, let's jump over. Let's jump up to Pat. Hey, Pat, welcome back, man. You've been off for a few weeks. I think you had some car trouble or something last week, man. Did you get that fixed?
Yeah, we did. We were down at Lake Powell for a few days and ended up getting stuck. We had to stay an extra 2 days. But we're back. Everything's good and trying to catch up with work. I'm redoing my entire tower, so I've been ordering. The boxes have been showing up, and I'm getting ready to redo all my antennas here. So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Well, you know, it might have been your wife that sabotaged the car just so y'all could stay a few days longer.
I think she had something to do with it.
Okay, let's go over to Nebraska. Joe, how you doing, Joe?
Well, hello, Tom, and welcome to at least 50 miles from the home of the College World Series, and got to go to a game even Sunday night. It's a rainy night in Nebraska, so it's a great time to build kits.
Oh, man, yeah. And you got some new ones for us tonight, right?
Yep, I got a couple of them.
All right, very good. Well, guys,
and these are both very easy kits.
Well, we're honored to have Howard on here with us tonight, W6HN. Howard, how you doing, Howard?
Hello, Tom. It's great to be here. Thanks for including me tonight.
Well, glad you can make it, and it's early out there, but we've got some things going on here. We wanted to get you in here first because the exciting thing called RigPi, the hottest thing selling out there, I think, in ham radio is happening right now, and you are the man now helping everybody. Boy, I've been watching the forum, and there's so many people getting this thing and so many people ordering it now.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I never, ever expected the interest in RigPi to be what it's turning out to be. I think the folks at MFJ, Martin and Ben and the gang in Starkville predicted this might be a hit, but I never thought it would be. So it's just been a very exciting time, a very busy time. And you're right, the RigPi forum, which is on rigpi.groups.io, it turns out to be a very busy place these days with lots of interesting questions, lots of interesting experiences, some frustration, which we all try to help with, but in general, I'm just so happy to see RigPi getting out and being used and new uses found for it as we go along. And Tom, I want to first of all thank you for having Martin and I at your booth back at Dayton. That was the first time I've been to Dayton in, gosh, over 15 years now. And I got to see you in person finally, and Walter, and spend a little bit of time behind the camera at your booth. So that was a lot of fun. And other than that, I didn't do a whole lot at Dayton other than to greet people at the MFJ booth and show them RigPi and answer questions. So it's going to be an interesting ride ahead. I want to apologize up front for anybody that's waiting for a RigPi at this point. MFJ is back ordered, and they've got the entire production gang working apparently full time. I suspect they're going to have to go into 2 or 3 shifts at this point to catch up. But Anybody that is waiting, I know that MFJ is very frustrated about asking you to wait, and I know you are frustrated waiting to get it, but I think once you get it and get it set up and running, you'll find that it is a whole new experience in ways to operate your station and use digital modes and operate remotely from anywhere in the world. What do you think, Tom?
Well, you know, it's an amazing little product in a little 4-inch square box. And, you know, I saw some people talking about ordering it, and they were wondering, well, MFJ is out of stock right now, but where do you think the best place, should it go to a dealer to get it? I'm sure MFJ is shipping, you know, bulk shipments to these dealers. I don't know if MFJ is keeping any to sell themselves, maybe a few. Well, how do you think the best way to get it would be?
Well, I know that 2 of the larger dealers for MFJ do carry it. Gigaparts, I think, had the most stock, both ordered and in stock a few weeks ago. HRO also has it in their stores. I know that they had at least several per store. So I don't know what the current status is, but it's certainly worth calling your favorite ham outlet place, your favorite ham store, and finding out what they have and when they might be able to deliver it. But I know that the production numbers are way up from what had originally been predicted. So we're hoping that MFJ will be able to catch up soon, so that the wait will end. I also want to thank you, Tom, and all of the other beta testers that helped make all of this possible. I spent a good deal of time with Harold W6HN. I VM'd into his RigPi this afternoon and watched him work FT8, and it was a lot of fun. And Harold has been a big help, both answering questions on the forum and making phone calls to help people over the phone. But Tom, you were one of the earliest beta testers, and as you probably know, if you've seen the RigPi, the movie video, it features you and Walter in various scenes, one of them being on a cruise ship from the Caribbean using RigPi to talk back home.
Yeah, that was kind of neat, being able to, I think we were in Cayman Islands, and I just got on the ship's Wi-Fi and connected right to my rig here at home and made some contacts, and we were lucky that we recorded it, and it turned out really nice. That's in the movie. Hey guys, I'm a movie star now, thanks to Howard for putting the movie together. Great job, by the way, putting that movie together. You know, there's a lot of and you mentioned me being one of the early beta testers. I was, and you know, I look at the forum and I feel a little sorry for some of these guys, but I'm gonna tell you, don't get discouraged if you can't make it work right off, because I didn't make it work right off. And the biggest thing that seemed to be my biggest problem was mumble. And I've seen in the RigPi forum that most people, all the complaints are no audio, no audio, no audio. And there's only like 1 or 2 settings in mumble, you know, that you have to set. I don't know why it's so difficult, but it was difficult for me, you know, in the early days when we were just trying it out and not knowing what to do. I think I spent a couple days just trying to get the audio to work. But now in the RigPi forums, you've got so many almost experts in there now that they've got all this worked out. And there are so many radios now that it's documented. And you know, Howard, even with the even if you got, say, a 7610, you want to use it, there are also variations on how you can hook this thing up, you know. And so you got to get the right combination. Use the USB port, use the audio cables, use this, use that, you know. So baud rates, and it's like a combination lock. And there's a couple different combinations that can work, and once you get it, it works perfect, man. I like it.
It's very reliable once, as you say, once you get it set up. Now, Mumble is an extremely popular open source program that we decided to use because of some of its benefits. Excuse me. And it's if you look up Mumble on the web, you'll find main Mumble site, and there are step-by-step instructions that you'll find there that will oftentimes help get you started. But as you mentioned, Tom, some of the confusion has come about because of the onboard RigPi audio board, and it is one option for connecting audio, but many of the newer radios have USB audio. They have codecs built into the radio, and as a result, it's simpler most times, and a lot simpler cabling-wise, just to use the USB audio from the radio. I'm a new owner of an IC7300 because all of my radios did not have internal audio, and I wanted to make sure that was all working. And when we set up RigPi and the distribution, it was assumed that most people would be using the RigPi audio board, which turns out not to necessarily be the case. So there are a lot of messages, a lot of good information on the RigPi forum, and if you use the search tool that's part of the groups.io page, you can search for things like audio or for a specific rig number and come up with some messages that will be close to what you really need in terms of getting your own radio and rig set up correctly. I'm looking up to the clock. I think my time is already intruding on several of the other guests tonight. So, Tom, any other questions that you might have before I turn things back to you?
No, I don't have any questions. Let's see if Dave or Pat or Joe has any questions there. Hey guys, RigPi is a hot deal, man. When are you gonna get yours?
Well, Richard Stubbs of MFJ told me at Dayton that he would be sending me one when they got some more production, and that sounds like it could be a while. I'm looking forward to it, and now one question I have: do you need two of them, one at your shack and one with you where you're operating, or do you have one just in your shack and then you operate over the internet?
I should answer that question and give a little bit more background if I can really quickly.
Sure, go ahead.
You only need one RigPi, and that's in your shack. You leave it there all the time. It can be on 24/7. You can turn your radio on and off from RigPi remotely, so you can leave RigPi running and be out in the field somewhere and have complete control over your radio. Now, at the other end, we have RigPi. You connect to RigPi through a browser, any browser at all. So if you have an Android or an iPhone or an iPad or a laptop, a PC, an Apple PC, even a Chromebook, any kind of a PC that has a browser, you'll be able to connect either at your own home, locally, or remotely from any mobile device that has an internal browser. The screen is all responsive, so if you change the size of the screen or rotate it, the position of the knobs and buttons changes to accommodate that screen. I should say that RigPi is $299.95, and in addition to that, you'll need a power supply, a 3 amp, 5.1 amp power supply. MFJ also offers some cables that you can use that are customized for radios, or you can use the 3.5 millimeter jacks at the other end of the box to connect audio in and out. It's a USB device, so your radio either has to have a USB CAT control port, or you have to use a serial to USB adapter. So that's a quick overview of what RigPi is, and I hope that sets you up, Dave.
Well, Dave, I not only turn my radio off, I turn my 12-volt power supply off that powers the radio, and it also disconnects my antenna and grounds it. So when I'm away from home and not on RigPi, the antenna's disconnected, the power supply is off, everything's off. And then when I tell RigPi, I just made a little macro up, click that macro, and it turns the power back on, and hooks the antenna back up, and off we go.
That sounds like a pretty cool device. I really look forward to seeing it.
Yeah, and if you're handy making your own cables, do that if you want to. There's various ways to get audio in and out as as Howard was mentioning. You can many of the radios can use the USB plug on the back, or you can use on many of the radios you can bring the audio in and out of the data jack on the back of the radio, or you can just come off the speaker and the mic connector. So there's many ways to do it. Well, Howard, thank you so much for coming on, man, and talking about this. We'll be following the group there, the forum, and you've got some real experts in there. They've got a lot more experience than I got the first, a little bit that I worked on the thing in the beginning. I'm more of just a user guy, but the guys you got in there now, they're top notch.
Well, thank you. I absolutely agree. I couldn't do it without the help of so many contributors to the forum, including the beta testers. And I should say that the URL for RigPi is rigpi.net. So if you want to learn more about RigPi, that's the place to go. And then there's a link there to both the online help and to the RigPi forum. So thanks again, Tom, for having me tonight. It's always a pleasure to see you and be with you on the show. So let's do it again soon.
All right, we'll do it, and we'll get another update from you soon. Thanks, Howard, and 73 to you.
73, Tom.
All right, so guys, that was our update on RigPi. It's that thing is like a hot potato. They can't make them fast enough. I don't know. There's gonna be a million out there. A million. Let's see. What's something that everybody has in their home? I mean, it's gonna be just like this. Everybody's gonna have one in their home. And we were talking about MFJ. Probably just about every ham in the world has at least one MFJ product, and this might be the product that people get that hadn't had one before. All right. So let's see. Bill Brown is not going to be with us. Looks like on the video tonight. Bill says he has to reinstall Skype. Not sure what happened there, but Skype is a touchy guy sometimes, and updates happen, and they usually happen about 1 minute before the show starts. So anyway, Bill is coming back from Iowa. There's a very large balloon launch there in Ireland. In Iowa that he just returned from, I guess, and he will be talking about that next week. I was going to try to show you a picture here that may be what we'll be talking about next week. So let me pull up another picture here. There we go, and see if I can get it on the show. These were actually larger balloons, and Bill will talk to. These aren't the Pico balloons like we've been launching here, but these looks like some pretty hefty balloons here. So you can see there was quite a bit going on there, and it was a big deal. We'll be looking forward to hearing about that maybe next week, and we're also going to talk about launching amateur radio roundtables, super duper high altitude balloon, the one that we've been talking about all these times, and we've ended up with the last couple of the Pico balloons, but we're gonna try to get that super duper sushi wrap balloon, hydrogen, whisper. This is going to be the Cadillac of balloons, and we're going to try to get that up soon. So Bill said we can work on that when he got back. He's back now from this big balloon launch here. All right, so hey, let's jump over to Joe real quick, and let's talk with Joe about some kits he's got. He always has kits. I don't know where he finds all these. You'd think that the world would run out of kits, but Joe.
Well, I hope not.
There what?
I hope not. And by the way, I got to meet Harold at Dayton on Sunday, and got to talk to him about the Pi. And
yeah.
Like I said, that's on my shopping list for Huntsville. Hopefully there'll be one there. And I really hope to take advantage of that and maybe do some FT8 remotely and things like that. Really looking forward to it. And as to the balloons, that was about 4.5 hours east of me. I wish I would have been there. It was in eastern Iowa. Well, let's see here. Let's see if we can figure out how to get this to share, because it looks all different to me again.
Oh man, there you go. There you go. Blaming Skype, and I agree with you. Every week it's different.
Yeah, and so I'm not sure if it's going to let me do this.
Yeah, it will. So, do you know how to do it?
Well, I think I'm going to do it this way. And let's see what that does.
Yeah.
Now you've got my screen, so
All right.
that's good.
But you've got
So
Pat
now-
on it. There you go. You're doing good.
Yeah, so here we go. How about that?
All right.
So now we're going to look at a kit here. This is from the 4-state QRP group. Hopefully you've got full screen now. This is a high-pass filter. Now, most of the filters the 4-state QRP group has put out in this format have been for 40 and 80, and they have been low-pass filters. And the reason for that is to make sure that these very simple minimalist designs meet FCC guidelines in terms of harmonic radiation. Just because you're QRP doesn't mean we don't have to attenuate our harmonics. And this is how it comes. It comes in pieces of circuit board that you have to break apart. And then you take a little emery board and you file off the rough edges on each piece. And then you put it together. But as you can see, how many parts are there in this thing? There's the circuit boards. There are 3 bigger capacitors and 2 smaller ones, and 2 B and C connectors. And the rest is the screws and hardware. So there's not a real big parts count on this, but it's very effective. And this kit addresses a problem that QRPers run into, and that is the problem of AM broadcast interference getting into simple direct conversion receivers. Because if you've got like a AM broadcast station within a couple miles, or you have a 50 kilowatt station that's a couple miles away, you're in trouble with these direct conversion receivers, because even though they have some bandpass filtering, it's not enough to get out that strong AM broadcast signal. That is a disadvantage of the direct conversion receiver scheme. So this filter will knock down the AM broadcast band a minimum of 77 dB and as much as 120 dB down. So we'll take a look here, and once you bust the case parts apart, you get to solder those tabs. And so I use black tape to hold it together to make sure it's exactly square, and I held it tight right after I soldered it and reheated the connections to make sure it's nice and tight and square. Then you can remove the tape and you have the finished case. Now let me see. I don't know why this is not working.
Maybe it's operator error.
I don't know. Let's see here. It's not letting me change photos, and I don't know why.
Maybe. You think
It
that's
was
that's the last photo? Can you go back the other way? On the
Nope, we'll open it again, and let's see. There we go. Don't know why. This is what the internal part of the case looks like. You'll notice that the parts are clearly labeled as to where they go. And you'll notice that the coils, you do not have to wind a toroid, because if you look, it's kind of hard to see because it's black on black, but the coils are spiral wound on the circuit board, so you don't have to wind a toroid to do this. And everybody says, well, is that really effective? Well, it's definitely effective. This is another look at it. This shows the capacitors and the connectors in place, ready to go into the case. A good experienced kit builder can have this completely done in less than an hour. Somebody a little newer to it might take a little more time. and it's worth spending the time and effort on this kit because it really, really works. That's what it looks like when the case is all assembled onto that base that has the capacitors and coils. And it has two BNC connectors, so of course you'll need a BNC to BNC jumper for most QRP radios. And it really knocks it down. I wished I would have put up the photos of my 7300 that I had hooked to the outside antenna with and without this to show, or maybe it was a 7610. It will be in CQ magazine. The pictures of my rig listening to a local AM broadcast station that was between 40 and 50 over 9. And with this, it's not even moving the S meter and way down in the noise level. So it's very, very effective and hardly any loss at all. It's hardly measurable on the bands that you want to hear. So this is good for any of these direct conversion receivers that work from 80 meters on up. Below 80 meters, it's going to start attenuating and then, of course, have its deepest dip in the AM broadcast band. So this is the high-pass filter from the 4-state QRP group, a wonderful little kit, and it uses the circuit board for the case. Now here is a 20-watt surface mount dummy load. And everybody says, well, how can you do that with surface mount parts? Well, these are 1 watt resistors that are in parallel and series. And so what they do is they bring the impedance down to 50 ohms. And because each one of these is a 1 watt resistor, it spreads it out. So you can have 20 watts of dummy load using surface mount devices. Now this kit comes with the parts numbered by the step in the instructions. So you just open that part of the envelope, take the resistors out and put them on the board as it goes. And then there's 2 connectors, and there is a BNC connector as well. So let's take a look here. What you do when you're doing surface mount parts, if you'll notice here, like for our 125, you'll notice I put a tiny dab of solder on the pad, and you can see these parts only have one side soldered so far. And what I do is I put this tiny dab of solder on this pad, and then I take a tweezers and I bring the part up to it, and then I heat it up and I just get it to stick there. It's not going to look great, but it's going to hold it exactly right and in the position I want. Once it's held in position like these are, then I take the iron and I solder completely the left side of all those. So now you have the right side that's kind of stuck there and the left side that looks really good. And then what happens when it's all done, I solder the other sides as well, and then of course add the through hole parts. Now there are surface mount resistors also on the bottom of this board. I don't have that picture with me right now, but this makes a nice dummy load if you're testing almost any of the QRP radios. And I'm glad this is 20 watts because 20 watts peak power will be coming out of the new 80 meter single site, AM transceiver kit that the 4-state group is coming out with. I am promised by the end of this month we should be seeing kits. So I'm really, really looking forward to that kit. This is a project that we've been working on in the HBQRP group. We are making an Arduino Uno on a perf board kind of a thing. It's actually a proto board. And so we are making our own Arduino Unos, and then we're going to use those and learn how to program to blink lights and turn on and off things and so forth. So we get a real integral knowledge of how the Arduino works. How about that? For those of you watching ESPN, that's what it looks like in TD Ameritrade Park in Omaha. Holds 25,000 people, and so this is the big thing to go to here in Nebraska this time of year, the College World Series. And I watched Mississippi State. Now, you want to know the ham radio connection. If you remember, Martin, I think, used to teach at Mississippi State. So they are in Starkville, where Mississippi State is. And so, of course, they're cheering for them. So that's kind of the photos I got from my seat, which wasn't too bad. So let's look at another kit here. This one is one that's put out by Rex, W1REX. And this one is called the Hamfest Buddy. And what this does is it's used to test little things that you find on flea market tables. Like if you find a meter or LEDs or speakers or audio stuff, you can test it with this thing. So you can have that in your little pocket and clip it to whatever is on the flea market table, and you can see if that darn meter movement or this other stuff works. This is what the parts look like. And the board is shaped, of course, to fit the mint tin, which is what everything comes in. And that's what it looks like when it's all done. And I had a lot of fun putting that together, and it absolutely worked the first time. And by using the jumpers with this thing here on the right, you can put the input or output wherever you'd like. And it has two buttons. One controls function A, one controls function B. It has an RF signal generator, an oscillator, and audio amplifier, and audio output, and all sorts of things. So it's kind of a fun little gadget to test what you pick up at a Hamfest. And I don't know why it's not letting me go to the next set of photos. Let me see. Oh, that is the end. Okay, so let's see if we can get my ugly face back to you, Tom. And
I can do it. If you can't do it, watch this. Watch me. I'm gonna bring you. Oh, there you are. You beat me to it.
Okay, I think I got it now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, great. Hey, some neat little kits, man. Very functional too.
And a lot of fun. And I would say if you can't find an easy kit to put together on one of these hot summer days, you're not looking hard enough, because there's plenty of easy kits.
Well, all right, man. Well, hey, thank you so much for bringing some kits to us and helping us with the show tonight. And I guess we're going to be seeing you down in Huntsville. Is that right? You're going to make it?
Yes, I will. And in fact, I think we ought to bring back the band.
You know, we should bring back the band. I would love to bring back the band. And
Saturday would be the best time to do that. Saturday,
yeah, you know, people, there may be a lot of people that really don't know what we're talking about when we talk about bring back the band. Here's the band, guys. I don't think I had any audio going with that, but anyway, that was Don Wilbanks, Richard Stubbs from MFJ. That was Joe there on the guitar. I was on the saxophone, and that was a band. Yeah, I think we should bring it back this year. I think we did that right before closing on Saturday that year. That might be a good time to do it.
Yeah, I think it would be fun and time to bring back the tradition.
And the year before we did the Blues Brothers. We had our sunglasses and hats, and we did the Blues Brothers. So I don't know what we can do this year, but it needs to be pretty good,
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Maybe I'll help you pick out a couple of songs.
Yeah. Okay. Well, very good. Yeah, I had that video queued up on the audio channel, so they didn't hear us talking when we were trying to describe it there. But that's kind of what it was. Yeah, let's bring the band back. That'll be fun. And hey, if astronaut Doug Wheelock is with us, let's think about this. we'll get him in the band too, and we might need to have some kind of space theme or something, you know, if he's in it. I don't know. Maybe we do 2 songs, you know.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Maybe we do 2 songs
I'm
there.
always glad to be part of it. And for those of you coming to the Huntsville Ham Fest at noon on Saturday, I'm going to be doing my kit building talk. So if you haven't seen it or you want to see the updated version, it's at noon on Saturday.
All right, Joe. Well, thank you so much again for everything, and we'll be seeing you probably on a show here again real soon. Thanks, man. You can stick. Stick with us as long as you like. I know you got some storms there and some lightning there, but you're welcome to stay as long as you want to with us tonight. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Let me bring Pat in here and bring Dave back in here, guys. We'll be right back in just one second here. Contest from home or remotely. ICOM's IC9700 is now available in shipping. Create your own band openings with ICOM's newest SDR transceiver. This new radio is bringing direct sampling to the UHF VHF weak signal world. Its all-mode transceiver is loaded with innovative features such as dedicated amateur satellite operation, color touchscreen, D-Star capability, RF direct sampling, dual independent receivers, and 100-watt maximum output on 2 meters, 75 watts max on 70 centimeters, and 10 watts max on 1.2 gigs. The IC7610 is the SDR every ham wants. This high-performance SDR has the ability to pick out the faintest of signals, even in the presence of stronger adjacent signals. The ICOM IC7610 is a direct sampling software-defined radio that will change the world's definition of an SDR transceiver. It has RF direct sampling, 110 dB RMDR, independent dual receiver, and dual digiselect. Changing the way entry-level HF is designed, the 7300 is a high-performance, innovative HF transceiver with a compact design, and it will far exceed your expectations. It has RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, a large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, and an SD memory card slot. Visit www.icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on ICOM radios. All right, and we are back. I keep getting a little echo in there every now and then. That's my fault. I won't go into explain why we have that, but there's a reason for it. Okay, so hey guys, hey, just really quick, let's mention this, and Joe and Pat, everybody, Dave, jump in. And let's talk here. Field day real quick. Now, one of the things we've done a lot of years on the show would be to have field day locations call into the show. Now, I might try, if I could get enough interest, I might try to do a live stream during field day, maybe on a Sunday, because on Saturday I'll probably go out to some of the field days, but might do a live stream and let you guys call in on Skype or something from various different field days across the country and be on a show, say for 5 minutes each or something like that. So if anybody's interested on bringing your field day into a live show during field day weekend, contact me through email. Email's on our website, and we'll see what we can do. If you can't do that, if anybody can just take some short videos or take pictures, we'd love to show those on the show later. And Dave, you going to a local field day?
I am, absolutely. The local Montrose, Colorado Amateur Radio Club, which draws from much of western Colorado, is going to have its field day. It's very close to in town. There's a little mesa right outside of town, and you just a mile or two drive and you're there. And we run 2A every year, and the same guy has been in charge of field day for the last 25 years, so he's really got it down pat. I usually get the logging software all squared away on the computers. I just made a note here that hasn't happened yet this year, so I better make some phone calls and make sure we've got the latest version of the N3JFP logging software out there. It's my favorite ham radio event of the year. I mean, it combines absolutely the best of ham radio, which is food, good chats and conversation. And oh, by the way, we get on the radio too.
Yeah, I always liked field day. I can remember back even in the early 60s, being a teenager, going to some of these field day sites, at midnight and watching them operate,
Yep, field day here is almost right behind my house. It's in Mahoney Park, which part of it is behind my house, and I will be with the Lincoln Amateur Radio Club, K0KKV, King Kong's Vampires, and most of the time I'll probably be on 20 sideband. We are 3A Nebraska, so hope to work everybody on field day.
All right, well, great. Pat, what about you? You doing anything? Pat, are you going to do field day?
Oh no, not this year. I'm gonna be doing antenna work, prepping for the new antenna. But for field day, don't forget you can even 6 meters will be active. I know the Utah Amateur Radio Club here in Salt Lake has a big event, and a couple close friends of mine are going to be up there, and they're going to be working FT8 on 6 meters. So don't forget those VHF bands as well as the HF bands.
6 meters has been open here the last few days. In fact, I've made a few contacts here. I don't even have a 6 meter antenna up. I've got a 40 meter delta loop out. And that delta loop will do 6 meters. It's got a fairly low SWR on 6, and it works. I've talked to all New England and places like that with it. I've got a little a quad that I built, just a 6 meter little quad loop. And I need to go out there at the antenna farm and just pull it up under a tree limb about 40, 50 feet up in the air and just connect that to my underground feeds, and I'll have me a 6 meter antenna in here.
Yeah, let it hang from the tree.
Yeah, yeah.
Turn it manually. Sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
6 has been. I've been watching DX maps. I've been in a good position where I can work at home for this week. So I've always got the radio up and running, and I've been listening. I haven't been working much because again, I've got my antenna system all torn apart right now. But
And people need to realize you don't have to have a 6 meter beam up to work 6 meters, man. That's
No.
called the magic band, man. When that band opens, you can have a 54-inch piece of wire hanging out the window and work just about anywhere you can work with a beam. It's a magic band.
We strung
well,
a dipole to a tree from the 6 meter tent one year and worked all over, made almost 200 contacts. So we have a beam. I think it's like a 4 or 5 element, but we've done it with a dipole and had just about as good results on field day. And I'm hoping that they run FT8, but I'm not sure.
Well, someday I'll get into some of that digital stuff, but right now I'm a voice guy or CW guy. Now, let me ask you, have you got any digital modes yet where I can just turn it on and leave home and then come back and work like 25 or 50 countries? They got any of those yet?
With a tablet, yeah.
Yeah, well, I might want to do something like that. That way I could work, make some contacts while I'm, at a ball game or something,
Or you can field day from the couch in the other room too.
Yeah, okay. Well, Dave, now, do you have anything specific here you wanted to talk about? I think you said you were testing, a DMR radio or something, or?
I am. I've got 2 that showed up, an Anytone and a Baofeng. And I did an unboxing of the both of those today, and the one for the Anytone will go up tomorrow. One thing that I got in the mail to review, MFJ makes this little key, or sells this little key. It's a cute little thing, and the best part about it is it's a relatively good quality key for $30. So this brings Morse code keys down into the realm of those of us who are not in the 1%. Well, they're made by CW Morse, which is the name that you can see engraved right here. And they just came out with their first paddle. This particular one is on a heavy base, so it's quite heavy, too heavy for portable use, I think. But a nice little set of paddles, and all hand put together of 3D printed parts. And I'm going to be doing a video about this coming up here real soon. But MFJ has a different set of paddles from a different manufacturer, which is also very inexpensive. These are kind of a step up from that in fanciness, but I'm really pleased to see that people are creating inexpensive but quality Morse code keys, because you try and get one, a lot of the market's gone very high end. You can pay $300, $400, and $500 for a key.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And the J38s are getting a little scarcer these days. I've got a couple of them, and whenever I see one, I grab it. But this, I'm going to try this out on CW and see how I like it. There's no tension adjustment, but then again, on my my good old bencher here, I've never had any cause to adjust the tension on that either. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of the gold standard. I think everybody's got one of these somewhere, and I've had this one for probably 30 years. But these new ones are quite nice now that they've got the 3D printed parts for all this. This part right here just snaps right on top. So those are cool. What I'll be reviewing soon, along with those DMR radios.
Well, and you're talking about expensive keys. You know, the Galley's got some very nice keys, and they're pretty up there in price, but there's a lot of precision that goes into those. And my key I have one of the Vibraplex Chrome Deluxe keys. My parents bought that for me in 1964. It was probably, back then, it was probably pretty expensive. It was probably $39 or something, for the Chrome Deluxe. But nowadays, that key is probably $200, $300, I'm guessing. I don't know. I love the Begala key, though. We give away one every year on the show, and man, it is precision. They do a great job there.
Oh, they're works of art, those.
Oh, yeah.
Those keys. And when fewer and fewer people do CW there for a while, the market had to go high end to stay alive. If they had $5 keys, that'd be great. Everybody'd want one, but you can't make a business out of that.
Oh yeah, yeah. All right, well, let's jump over to. We're not doing too bad on time. Let's jump over here to Pat, and let's get Pat in here, and we're going to talk about. Pat's going to talk about amplifiers tonight. Now, Pat, are these HF or all VHF, UHF?
We're going to talk about solid state amps, and really nothing specific as far as VHF or UHF, but just talk about the SSPAs, because they're becoming so popular and becoming more and more affordable. I thought we'd just give a little bit of an overview of how they work. The kit, there's actually kits and components out there that you can purchase. You put together your own amplifier, and you can improve it and make it better. And I thought we'd just do a little slideshow presentation and have a little fun and a little discussion, and nothing too serious.
Okay, well, let's do that.
One thing I want to do, though, speaking of W5KUB, Tom being a great salesman, I did make a purchase, Tom.
Oh, man, did you?
I bought me a DV Megacast.
All right.
And I'll be honest, I have a heck of a time setting up these handy talkies and stuff like that. I've got a TYT, and I started playing with the thing, and man, I'll tell you, it was just driving me nuts. And when I saw the way yours worked, I purchased one. And the support has been great. It looks like they're going to be putting more and more into the unit and more into the software. I wish it could scan a little bit more. The way I've got it set up right now is in the basic mode, where you've kind of got to look up a talk group or look up the information or go into Pi-Star and change things. It would be kind of cool if somebody could come up with something that would allow it to scan a little bit more, instead of having to just put one-off things in it. But it's been a great little radio, and the setup was a little tricky. I found a few videos out there, but once I got it to fly, I've been very, very happy, and I want to credit you.
Oh, well, thanks.
Your channel,
and let me say, I'm not a DMR or hey, I work some D-Star. I got a D-Star radio here that I used years ago, but I've not been on D-Star. I'm not a DMR guy. I know almost nothing about it, but I did buy that because it looked like it would be simple for me to get on DMR, D-Star, and Fusion. And you can go into the little Pi-Star screen here and you can turn off, if you don't want Fusion on, you can turn it off and just have DMR and D-Star or whatever, you know. But I didn't understand all the little things about how digital works. And if I was a digital guy and, you know, I had these hot spots out there, I would have probably had a better understanding of how things work. And I complained a lot to the people that build that box. In fact, they worked with me one day to set mine up. And because of the complaints I made, they've gone in and changed some software to add some features. And they're also going to, they're working on some additional features that I've asked for that will be put into that box when I get the software. One is, for instance, if you're on DMR right now, and I think this is how a hotspot works. If you're on DMR right now and you want to go to Fusion, or if you want to go to D-Star, there's no way to move over there until the guy quits talking on DMR. Right. Before you can move. And I said, you know, you need a button on there. You know, hey, I want to get off DMR, I want to go to Fusion. So they're trying to work at, they've got to make some network changes and they're working on that. So maybe a few things that I requested, you know, is going to maybe end up in there, because I was a person that knew nothing. And there's probably a lot of people out there that know nothing that want that box. Hey, by the way, guys, Amateur Radio Roundtable has its own talk group. We are 31693. Write that down, Pat. 31693. That's our Amateur Radio Roundtable talk group, and we need to figure out how to use that somehow, you know, for our show and so forth. So let's figure out how to use that thing there. All right, well, back to you, Pat. Hey, I'm glad you got one, and it's cool. Hey, it'll run mobile too. You just hook it to the, you know, to your Wi-Fi in the truck or car, and you got DMR or D-Star or whatever in the truck, you know.
Well, it's a slick little box, and I believe it has a lot of potential for a lot of upgrades, and the input that you've given is great. Matter of fact, something I've even noticed, and it might be the version of the software I'm running, being on, if you're even in the DMR mode listening to a talk group, and somebody's talking, you can't even get it out. You've got to wait till they end key and then take your little touch thing and add the new one in. But so far, I've learned a lot. I've talked on Fusion, I've talked on DMR. I've got to get my D-Star gateway stuff set up. I've got a brand new ID 5100 I bought at Christmas time. It's still in the box here under the desk. I got to get that hooked up. So plenty of stuff to learn. I've been doing this a long time, and you know, I'll tell you, I'm always learning something new. All right, let's go ahead and I'm going to switch over real quick. I'm going to go ahead and do a screen share here and see if you can get what I got. Hold on. It takes a minute. There we go.
Yeah, it's coming up.
All right, I'm going to get this out of the way, and I'm going to go to this and put this down here. Let's see if we can get this thing to go. All right, how does that look? Pretty good?
Yeah, it looks good.
Okay. All right, so we're going to just kind of free flow this. I like to do these presentations because when I'm putting notes together, sometimes it's kind of cool to throw some pictures and illustrations in. And, you know, I think anybody that's been a ham for quite a while, especially to the new people, and I work with a lot of new hams and try to help a lot of new hams out, the old question of an amplifier always comes up. You know, well, I want to get me an amp. I want to be louder. I want to be heard further, and what have you. And of course, I always preface that you know, I think the most important thing for anybody is that before we throw an amplifier into the mix, is that we have a good working system. We've got, again, a decent antenna up in the air, and we've got good quality coax. I can't preach on that enough. Have good quality cable. I got a buddy of mine who just got on 6 meters. He put up a 7-element 6-meter beam, brand new ham, didn't know, and he fed it with RG58. So I'm going to help take that down, or we're going to change that over to LMR 400. He didn't know, you know, but again, the same thing. Good quality antenna, something that's modeled well, and some good coax. And I've had a lot of interest in amplifiers, guys, for such a long time because I've been so into the VHF realm from years ago, from back in the 80s. I did EME back in '83, and you need with some of these modes, well, especially trying to work moon bounce and some, a lot of the weak signal stuff, you need that little bit of extra boost. But again, I always try to have the best possible antennas I could afford or put up and the best possible cables. Looking at different amplifiers, just put this as a little preface out there. I've noticed recently there have been just a plethora of HF amplifiers flooding out into the onto the used market, and I've talked to quite a few people about that. One thing all I can say about that is that there's some great deals out there, but if you're thinking about buying an amplifier, make sure you know what you're getting into. I've got my old Drake L4B sitting on the shelf here, and it needs a new set of tubes. I went out and priced 3-500s, and man, I about had a heart attack as far as what the costs are. I know that IMAC is no longer in the ham radio tube business, so amplifiers that run, like 3CX800 A7s and stuff like that, you're going to pick up medical poles and used tubes, and probably going to pay somewhere in the ballpark of $400 or $500 a tube.
Hey, so, Pat, let me tell you. Do you see what's over my shoulder right here? That's a Alpha amp.
Right.
It's got 3CX800s in it, and if you buy them at one place, it's got 2 of them in it, and if you buy them at one place, the tubes cost $1,800 for 2 tubes.
Yeah.
Now you can find them cheaper, but still, you could pay $900 a tube for that, and but they last a lifetime. I'll just say that.
They do. And you can buy the medical poles. I've got several amps here. I have a 2-meter amp and a 6-meter amp that both run 3CX800 A7s in it, and I'm very careful with it. But again, just be cautious. Also, there's a lot of guys out there that are selling the older Alpha amplifiers, like the old 76s that run 8874s. I mean, those tubes, they're virtually non-existent. People that have them, and even if they're used and they put out power, they're going to ask a premium price. So just do a little bit of research. If you want a nice little tube amplifier, Ameritron has the 811 series. You can put some I think you can buy a 3 or 4 version 811 tube, and they're pretty reasonable to replace. I know a lot of the companies like ACOM are even using the Russian tubes, and they're definitely more reasonable. So if you're going to buy an amplifier, really do your research before you flip for it, because I'm seeing just a ton of big high-powered amps out on the market, and I know a couple people that are trying to sell some tube amps that have just been contested to death. So the tubes are way down in power, and again, a replacement is going to be on the horizon. So let's talk a little bit about computer. Okay, what's going on? Hold on a second here, Tom. For some reason, there we go. Let's talk a little bit about the solid-state power amplifier, because there's so many of these coming out on the market, and so many new companies are coming out with them. You'll hear them referred to a lot of as an SSPA, and it's also referred to as an SSPA pallet. Pallets can be built for specific frequency ranges. I got into the SSPA part of the hobby a few years back when I was trying to build some solid-state amps for 2 and 220, and that was my introduction to these solid-state amps. Here's a basic pallet layout. Freescale Semiconductor's been putting out pallet amps forever. This is actually a 6-meter amplifier. That pallet, I probably should have put a little reference up there. It's not much bigger than a Hershey bar. It's pretty small. If you look at the SMA connector on the one side and the N connector on the other, it kind of gives you a little size comparison as far as how small this thing is. And this amplifier actually puts out well over 1,200 watts.
Wow.
Right there's the input to the amplifier, the SMA connector. There's the output, there's the N connector right there. And there's the LD MOSFET. There's several different types of FETs out there, but we'll just kind of talk generalities for tonight. Before you get started, if you buy these in a kit, there's a company, there's a gentleman out of California by the call sign of W6PQL. He has been putting amplifiers out for a long time. He's been designing boards and stuff like that. Here's one of his boards with the pallet with the FET dropped into it, and it's sitting on a copper heat sink that is then going to be tied to a aluminum heat sink underneath to dissipate the heat. There's the copper spreader. There's the amplifier main board, and then of course it's sitting on top of an aluminum block. The heart of the SSP amp is the LDMOS transistor, and there's one there. That's probably one of the most common ones. The BLF 188XR. These years ago, they've been around for a while, but not that long ago. These things were going for $400 or $500. Now you can find them brand new. There are clones of them out there, but you can find them brand new anywhere from $100 to $200, and they go inside of the amplifier. Here's again another picture of the copper spreader, the amplifier board itself, and then in the middle there, here is the FET. There's specifics that are common to all solid-state PAs. Most of these FETs run at 50 volts. The newer ones all run at 50 volts. To come up with 50 volts is pretty affordable nowadays because you can pick up these used HP power supplies. These are server supplies that are on the eBay market and the surplus market for anywhere from about $35 to $55. I've actually have a couple of these I was able to pick up brand new for right around 89 bucks. They're a 220 power supply. They put out 50 volts at about 40 amps. So they're a very, very stout supply.
Can they be wired for 110?
They cannot, but there is Meanwell puts out some supplies that can be run for 110. The only problem is the ratings are a little bit lower on them, so you're not going to get as much out of the amplifier. But you can find them on 110. Some guys will get smaller ones, smaller Meanwell supplies, and they'll go ahead and they'll put them together in series, so you can plug them into 110 and then walk yourself up to the 4850 volts. But these, without a doubt, are the most affordable way to go, and they are just very, very stout power supplies. Cooling is key, without a doubt. A proper heat sink is a must. You've got to have proper cooling for the solid-state amplifiers. And as we kind of move down a little bit in the presentation, even the commercial companies do the same thing. Here's a heat sink that's got a couple of fans on it. Of course, the pallet will sit on top of that under the copper spreader, and then the pallet, and it's attached to it. And when it comes on, you want to ensure that you get as much heat off of that FET as possible. Proper input is very, very critical. Most pallet amps require 5 watts of drive or less. Now, some people say, well, I got a solid-state amplifier and I can drive it with 100 watts. That's true, but I guarantee you there's some attenuation incorporated into that amplifier. You can use an attenuator to ensure that your pallet is protected. Here's a very simple attenuator that was put together. It was just machined out of a little Hammond box. Being an SMA connector, there's the inside of the end, and the little sugar cube there is a little attenuator module. Very, very nice and clean, and it is 50 ohms. FETs are very effective through 160 through 600 megahertz. If you want more power, you add more FETs. So here's an example of a board that uses 2 FETs, one on the top and one on the bottom. They actually combine together to give you more output. Here is a 1296 amplifier put out by W6PQL, and if you look, there's actually 2 FETs on 2 boards, and then that's combined. They use something that's known as a Wilkinson combiner to join all that together. A little bit of power in gives you a lot of power out. I believe this amplifier puts out upwards of 700-800 watts on 1.2 gig, which is an amazing feat. If you look over here, you got the nice big cooling fins. Again, got to keep these things running cool. Heat and too much input power will kill them. That's the biggest killer. One thing I found real interesting about FETs, and I've watched a lot of videos, and I've never tried, I've got a couple pallets done and a couple amps myself. From everything I've looked at, SWR, a dead short on the output, will not hurt the FET at all. I always get leery because I had a 2-meter amplifier years back that ran a pair of 3CX800s, just like you got, Tom, when they were a lot cheaper. And my doggone end connector up at the antenna in the middle of winter let go, and the connector popped, and the shield went to ground, the SWR spiked, and it destroyed one of the tubes. It took one of the tubes out. So that's always made me leery. I'm always watching the input power and what's coming back as well.
And hey, Pat, I used to be leery of solid state amps because, just like what you were mentioning, I was always afraid that transistors in the years before were always very sensitive to being damaged very easily. But some of these new MOSFETs or power transistors they have, you can find some videos on YouTube where they'll run a kilowatt, and a guy will take a screwdriver and he will short out the antenna connector on the back, and you'll just see sparks fly, and he keeps shorting it out, and it will not damage that MOSFET.
Exactly. I haven't tried that yet, and I don't think I'm going to.
No, I don't think I've tried either at that cost, but they're showing there's the MOSFETs out there now will handle things like that.
Exactly. But you do that with your alpha too long, or some of these other amplifiers, especially if you're running them close to full tilt. And like I said, I popped one of the 3CX800s when the SWR spike came back, and they took one of the tubes out on one side. So, but you're right. I've seen the videos on it, and they're just very, very brute force. Again, too much drive will pop them, or again, too much heat will damage them as well. Again, they can be combined for more power. Here's an example. Here is the Ameritron 1306. This is a great, I don't own one of these. I'm saving some nickels up. I'd love to get this amplifier for portable work. If you look at the bottom there, on the next picture, it's got two pallets combined. So those are two pallets with heat sinks, and they're slid inside, and they're combined together. They're running both, I believe, to get 1300 watts out of this amp, they're running both pallets at about 600 watts. There's some sort of combining going on inside the amplifier circuitry itself, but that's what they're doing. If you can't get, if you don't get enough out of one, you add another one. Some of the higher end amps run 4 pallets in them. Amplifiers do need filtering though. Here's a simple as an example of a bandpass filter put out by W6HN. So if you pick up a pallet amplifier for HF, kind of like there's a 2-meter bandpass filter. Show what that looks like. Here's a pallet right here. This is a pallet amplifier by W6HN running a 188 FET. This is 160 through 6 meters, about 1100 watts out. But there's no filtering. If you build up one of these amplifiers, you've got to put some filtering on the other end. Otherwise, it's running wide open. They are very broad banded. And when you look at it, they are very, very simple. It is amazing that something, again, the size a little bit bigger than a Hershey bar can produce as much power as it does. And they're very, very efficient amplifiers. Here's a little schematic I put together, just real simple kind of how it works. You've got your transceiver here. You have to have relays in line. Those palette pictures that I showed you didn't incorporate any relays. So here's an RF relay in, an RF relay out. Here's a filter. Got a filter on the output of the amplifier into the RF relay up to the antenna. And there's the 50-volt server supply. When you unkey the mic, of course, you need to put some key-in circuitry in there involved with it. You take the amplifier out of line. You don't want to try to receive through the amplifier because that's just not going to work. So when you transmit, you throw that pallet in, the filter in, it goes up to the antenna. When you unkey, it bypasses everything. And of course, there's more things that you can add. You can put in safety protection. There is biasing voltage and stuff. We don't have to go into that tonight, but there's some other voltages that may be required depending on the design of the pallet. The pallet and the MOSFET core, again, they're the same concept for all solid-state amplifiers. They may use some different components, but all in all, they're the same. Here's some turnkey solid-state amps that are on the market today. I've got one of these. I've got an ALS 600. I love this little amplifier. You can run this thing at 500 watts. It is built with brute force. I know mine is the little newer version that you can do some remote control with it. But I've had my ALS 600 for years, and again, if you're looking for a nice 500-600 watt, sideband 600 watts, digital probably around 400 watts. It's a great amp. I know the new ALS 606 came out, which is basically the same amplifier from MFJ, but it's got 6 meters on it. This one I've got does not. Here's the inside of it. Here's the palette down under here. Here's the here's the filtering up here. Palettes under here, and here's some control circuitry. And then, of course, most of these amplifiers will use an external power supply because the power supplies are pretty beefy in size. Here's I think this is one of Ameritron's most popular amps. A lot of the 6 meter guys run it because you can run this amp at 800 watts on 6 meters and not even have to think twice about it. A little pricey, but again, 160 through 6, very nice. It's got a lot of safety features in it. I've had the opportunity to operate one of these. If you push it too much, it just goes into standby mode, you reset it, and you're good to go. A lot of thought was put into these amps to ensure that the FETs and everything are going to be well protected. There's the inside again of the amplifier. Elecraft, of course, this is their big solid state amp. I couldn't find a photo of it, but the 1500 actually runs 4 pallets in it. It has 4 of them, 2 stacked on 1 over 1 and side by side. A very expensive amplifier, but an amazing amplifier. It can run 1500 plus all day, and you don't even have to worry about it. You can contest CW, whatever. I know on here it shows it goes to 1900 watts. I tend to believe it does that with no problem at all. Of course, its little brother, the KPA 500 amplifier that's been out forever, a nice 600 watt solid state, 160 through 6 meter amp. With all the band switching and everything. And even the Ameritrons, they auto switch as well. Again, just a really, really cool little setup. Here's the ACOM 600. This is a HF through 6 meter amp, 600 watts again. Very, very nice product. As far as VHF goes and UHF goes on the commercial market, the Gemini amps come from overseas. The Gemini 2 is a 1.2 1200 watt 2 meter amplifier. A lot of guys are running these for EME. They're running them for meteor scatter on 2 meters. They do make a Gemini 6 as well, but it's a standalone 6 meter amp. They're very pricey, but they're very, very nicely built. I believe they're built in Germany, and the construction, the quality is just amazing. And then, of course, here is the W6PQL amplifier. As I mentioned before, if you're thinking about building an amp and giving a pallet a try, he has got all the support components. Even if you don't buy the pallet from him, I've bought little parts and pieces. You have a problem, or if you have some issues, or you have some questions, the man is more than willing to talk on the phone with you. The Jim's customer service is beyond belief. He just released this 1.5 kW amp for 2. It'll run 1500 watts all day. A lot of the EME guys have moved to it. That's about it for the presentation. Here's the web address for w6pql.com. He's the gentleman that makes this. And, you know, as far as solid state amplifiers, they've gone back many, 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 many tens of years. A company called communicationconcepts.com has been putting out boards and amplifier kits for years. They have a huge selection of products out there right now. So if you're thinking about building one up yourself, you can go to Communication Concepts and you can order the parts. But again, if you're going to buy an amplifier, if you're in the market for one, definitely do not stray away from the solid state amps. The protection circuitry is amazing in them. If by chance you do pop the FET, it happens. The pricing has come way down. I know years ago it was pretty expensive, but not that you want to destroy components, but if you do, it's not going to hit you as hard as, like you said, Tom, as what a new pair of iMac 3CX 800s would cost you. So anyway, that's it. I hope you enjoyed that. Hopefully you got a little bit out of it. I surely have enjoyed building amplifiers over the years, and it's just a lot of fun. It's another fun part of the hobby. And of course, be careful with the voltages. If you're going to play with big tube amplifiers, well, watch the voltages because they're very, very high. And even these solid state amps, same thing. You got 50 volts at 40 amps floating around in there. You grab onto the wrong thing, and you're gonna light up your day. So just be awfully cautious.
Well, cool. That was a great presentation.
A lot of fun stuff.
And you know, over the 50 years, can you get your picture back on there? Let's see. I can do it for you, I think. Let's see.
I wonder if I get a. Oh,
I think I can bring you back in. Let's see.
There we go.
I did it for you.
cool.
I did it. So, you know, over the years, I've built a number of, you know, tube amplifiers. Of course, back then, tubes were what you used. They were the easiest thing to find, and built a lot with, you know, 811s and 813s, things like that. Finally ended up working with some, I think, 4-250s. But, you know, even though, I mean, I've been in this business for all these years, and when I got this alpha amp here, you got to respect this thing, man. I took the cover off of it the other day. The fan's making a little noise, and that fan is kind of down in under there, under that plate choke and all that stuff. And you got to really respect this thing because it's got like just a little under 3,000 volts in there. It's some pretty good current too. So always, you know, short it out. Make sure it's not anything charged up in there, and keep one hand behind you all the time.
For sure.
And you know, you're talking about 220 versus 110. This alpha amp I've got here, it was wired when I got it. It was wired for 220. I don't have 220 back in the shack. I could run it back here, but it'd be somewhat difficulty and extra cost and so forth. So I just wired it up for 110, and I'm getting over a kilowatt out of it constantly. It's doing pretty good. You know, and they say, you know, if you go off 220 down to 110, you're going to lose a little bit, and I probably did. This old alpha amp is, you know, it's made to be what, 1.5 kilowatts key down for 5 years. Don't let up, you know, constant cycle. And I mean, the transformer's so big in it, there's actually a rope around the transformer that you use to pick the transformer up if you take it out. And you know, they ship it in 2 different units. Of course, this amp hadn't been built since the 1980s, but hey, it's a great amp. I've got an AL80B. It's a kilowatt amp, and it was a great amp. But I wanted to play with this Alpha 86. It's got a good reputation. I want to play with it. And you're talking about the medical tubes. I've been reading about that. If I ever do need to get any new 3CX800 A7s, there are what, medical pulls that are out there that are still good?
Yeah. There's Henry actually makes they still are in the medical device business. And every now and then you see them on QTH.com and on eBay. There's guys that actually sell the pole, so they're fully tested. I think that equipment isn't running at full tilt, but there's some guys out there. You can find sets of them for $750, $800. I actually picked up a set from a gentleman in Texas for $600 for 2 of them. For my 2 meter, I have a couple of 2 meter amps and a couple 6 meter amps for my Commander amplifiers, and he stood behind the tubes, and they were just fine. And they
these may be the original tubes. I have no idea. That would make them 30-something years old. But my reading is that they're really rugged tubes. They're putting out full power, and so I'm not really worried about it right now. And you're talking about drive on those solid-state amps, 5 watts of drive. I mean, man, to get this ampere up to 1.5 kilowatts, it takes about 30 watts of drive on HF, no more than that.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of these pellets only require a couple of watts. I know my Ameritron's AL600's got a pretty stout attenuator in there. Again, it's protecting it. If you overdrive it, it just kicks it out, and then you have to go ahead and reset. So if you're gonna get involved with it, you definitely want to build them. You want to put some protection circuitry, and again, there's several different ways you can go. But it is amazing how well they work and how simple they can be.
And it's got a lot of protection built in it. I mean, if this thing hits an SWR 2-to-1, it will shut that amp down, and it will be 3 minutes before it can come back on.
Right.
So you gotta learn how to make it right up front, and then you don't have that problem. You know.
Yep.
Well, Dave, what do you think, man? We're gonna build some amps.
I have an ALS 500M that kind of fell into my lap for $200. It's been sitting in a box for 10 years.
Well, that's a good price.
And my wife gave me the power supply for that as a birthday present. 75 amps at 12 volts. There's a line in the instruction manual for the ALS 500M that says, since it's designed for automotive use, it can run on up to 16 volts. And it seems to kind of emphasize that number, 16-foot stomp, 16-foot stomp. So I just turned up the power supply to 16 volts and it works great.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
It does fall out. I have a vertical that I think is getting old. It's been out in the wind too much. And when the wind is blowing, the SWR can spike up a little bit here and there, and it will drop out the amp. So I've got to do something about that antenna. But boy, I got to tell you, 500 watts on sideband versus 100 watts makes all the difference in the world.
Oh yeah, it sure would. Tell you, you get about 20 watts on sideband, and you can make some pretty decent contacts. It doesn't take much more than that.
Oh, I've made them with 5 watts when I tested my micro bit X.
Yeah.
I made sideband contact on that. I just found a net and went into a net, so there were people already listening to the frequency. They were quite happy to let me in and converse for a few minutes.
Yeah, I've got a video out there on the YouTube channel. My first contact with the BIX 40, the 5-watt BIX 40, was South Africa on sideband. That was my first contact. It wasn't even in a box. I had the board laying on the table here with just some wires hooked to it. And then I think I built another one or two. I've made 3 contacts with it, and all I've worked, 3 contacts in about 3 months. All I've worked is South Africa each time. So there's something wrong. There's something wrong with my radio. But if you listen on 40 meters, there's this guy down in South Africa. He puts a tremendous signal in here.
Oh, doesn't he? I've worked him a couple times.
Oh, yeah.
Tom, I punched that talk group in there in the DMR radio. I'll have to give it a try when you get a chance one of these days.
Okay, I don't know if it's on or not, but 31693 I think is our DMR number, and we got to figure out how to make use of that for the show and start getting some activity. I've talked to a few people on it that have put it in their radios, and again, not being a digital guy, DMR guy, you know, I don't know the complexity there, but I think I know if you just got a handy talkie and you're out and you want to, let's say you're in New York and you want to call me, I don't think it's an easy thing in a handy talkie just keying in 31693 in a handy talkie. Don't you have to program that in somehow or something?
Usually you'd set up a channel on your handy talkie that has that as the talk group. You just switch to that channel and use it.
Yeah, well, but I mean, can you actually but is that channel then set for that? Is that talk group set for that channel, or can you do multiple talk groups on that channel? Can you key it in?
It depends on the repeater owner.
Yeah.
What they have decided that you can do with their repeaters. With a hotspot, you can do anything.
Right. So the hotspot gives you the capability to go in here and modify it or change the talk groups and stuff. But that's the nice thing about this DV Mega Cast, that I just take a little stylus pen and touch the talk group and just key the number in there, and there I go. It's a little bit more difficult to change the reflectors on D-Star. It's not as quick as it is on DMR, but it's just a few pen strokes and you can change it to any reflector.
Yeah, so somebody just keyed up I didn't get the call, but somebody by the name of Robert just keyed up in that group and locked into it. So yeah, we definitely should do something with it. It's again, Tom, I want to thank you. seriously, the reason I bought it because I watched your video and you talking about it, and
Well,
I'm the same way.
I hate,
Simple, and this-
I hate that it cost you all that money. That thing is not cheap, but it's 3 radios in one, you know.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah,
and
but that's what you're gonna pay for a
Yeah.
good. That's what you're gonna pay for a good handheld.
And I wanted something that I could easily do all the different digital modes. I mean, I've got a radio here that I do D-Star, but it was so complicated back when I got that radio, man, to I won't even talk about it. I need to learn more about it.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, guys, it's
I
about,
watch Josh's videos, and he just sits there and goes at it.
Yeah.
It has them programmed up. It's amazing.
well, guys, this is 9:30 here, Central Time. 9:30 Central Time here, so I guess we probably ought to think about terminating the show and maybe getting a bite to eat, get some dinner. I'm getting a little hungry. You guys out west though, it's early for you guys. The sun probably hadn't gone down yet, has it?
Oh, 8:30 here.
It's setting here.
Is it setting here, huh? Wow. Okay, well, we'll see you next week, and we'll have fun again next week.
Okay,
All right.
I'll give you a field day report.
All right, yeah, let's do some field day stuff next week. And again, if anybody can get any videos for field day, contact us. We'll try to show them on the show. Contact us if you want to do something special on field day, and we'll try to work with you there. 73 to everybody. Thanks a lot for watching the show. We'll see you next week. Bill Brown will be with us next week, and we're gonna talk about this massive balloon launch here that Bill was just at this week. A lot of balloons launched there, and a lot going on. He's got video, and he's got a lot of pictures. We'll also talk about trying to get our super duper sushi wrap balloon up. I don't know if Bill's still in the chat room or not. Bill, if you're in here, welcome back, and we'll get that Skype reinstalled. Yeah, Bill is still in there, and we appreciate Bill joining our show here. And this is a fascinating part of ham radio, and we want to just start having more and more segments about the balloon launches. And you learn a lot about this. You learn a lot about weather. You learn a lot about, you learn a lot. It's amazing that you learn things like, how can I make this balloon fly at 31,000 feet? And there's formulas, and there's weights, and there's, volumes of gas, and you do all this stuff in these formulas, and you can make that balloon fly at a certain altitude. And so there's a lot to learn there, and it's neat to watch the tracking and so forth. And it gets really exciting when you start watching a balloon try to make it around the world. Last 3 attempts we made it didn't get around the world. The first attempt did really well. It went all the way across China and Japan, and then it hit a storm and went down to Japan. We hope we'll fly over the storms this time. Maybe Bill can get that thing up about 42,000 feet, and we'll miss the storms. And if we're lucky, we might circle the Earth 2 times, maybe even 3 times. I don't know. I don't want to be, thinking too much here. Right now we're shooting for one revolution around the Earth. Is what we're shooting for. So, 73, everybody. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next week. And Bill, let's talk on email, Bill, in the next week and figure out what we're going to do here.
And 73's from Nebraska.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer.
All right, guys.
You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.